So the big tax question is this: how do wealthy people keep their money working for them when selling their business, real estate, or other highly appreciated assets without paying hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars in tax? What if we, as business and real estate owners who have poured blood, sweat, and tears to growing our wealth, and who didn't hire expensive tax attorneys and CPAs to map out an exit strategy, knew their secrets? Instead of recreating the wheel, why can't we just model the way they deferred 30 to 50% in tax, paid off debt, funded their next business dream, and most importantly, leave a financial legacy to give to the causes we believe in most? What if their secrets weren't complicated at all, and you just need a guide who is a few steps ahead of you? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Brett Swarts, and welcome to Capital Gains Tax Solutions. Welcome to the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the Deferred Sales Trust, is the best way for you to grow your wealth. Hey, I'm your host, Brett Swarts. In each episode, I'm joined by some of the best financial independence and passive income wealth advisors in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration, so together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. I'm also joined by financial coaches here who help to empower entrepreneurs and clarify numbers, right? And boundaries that are associated with those numbers. And so I'm excited to bring on our next guest, who for more than a decade has helped her clients and audiences transform their lives, live more joyfully, and make more money. She empowers them to use their home or office space as a vehicle for making radical shifts in their lives and increasing wealth, productivity, and peace of mind. Her intuitive advice and insights on how to set clearer boundaries, rediscover personal power, and heal past experiences and fears that have have been called raw, transformative, hilarious, honest, refreshing, innovative, spot on, and spookily accurate. Okay, hopefully I'm saying that correctly. And she is here to share with us her story and some of her wisdom. Okay, so please welcome to the show, Tandy Pryor. Tandy, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, thanks for being here. We're excited to dive in. And so would you give our listeners a little bit about your background and your current focus?
Yes. Wow. It was kind of a long road to get here as a coach, but I started this coaching business at 50 and, almost 9 years in now. And it's been quite a journey of personal development. And what I started noticing after I started my business was that I was attracting financial advisors and wealth managers. And I didn't intentionally do that, but there's something about the work that I do, and it just seems like a fit for the work that they do.
Excellent. So, yeah. So kind of a shift at 50 to coach, and you've been coaching and helping financial advisors since then. And so walk us through a little bit about who you are, Tandy, and how you help those financial advisors. But before you get there, I want you to connect something for us, right? I think we're all given certain God-given gifts, and these gifts are given to us to bless others. So what is that one gift that you believe you were given? Think back to when you were maybe a kid or a teenager or earlier in your career, right? What was that one gift that you were given, Tandy, and how does that connect how you help financial advisors today?
Ooh, that's a good question. I know what it is. It's intuition. And I had it, and I think I kind of denied it. And then in my 30s, I had a near-death experience, and it could no longer be denied. I worked in lots of different entrepreneurial things. I did real estate and continued to take coaching, training. And there was just something about wrapping all of that up and starting this business at 50. And I would definitely say my secret sauce is helping advisors and entrepreneurs see what they can't see for themselves, like blind spots, and helping with breakthroughs around set points and earning. And the number one thing I help people with is boundaries.
Excellent. So, was this something where I don't know if your brothers or sisters or your parents or whoever else, teachers growing up, always kind of said, "Hey, you had this intuition ability to to see things that other people weren't seeing"? I mean, is that kind of in the theme? Is that what you're saying?
It was, and I think after a while, when people would laugh, I hid it, and I think I just kept it to myself. But I had imaginary friends that weren't, to me they were there, and they didn't make fun of it when I was really young, but as I got older, and it is just it's a gift, I guess, to know situations and to be able to evaluate people and situations. But when you're a teenager, it doesn't necessarily fit in with everything that's going on. So I think the big wake up call was in my 30s, but it had always been there. And I was an adoptee. I'm an adoptee, even though I was only a month old. So I think that partly search for self and search for truth and I had a wonderful life, but there were always unanswered questions because I was part of the closed adoption system, even though I was only, 4 weeks, 8 weeks old, something like that. So that's a big formative thing. And I think honing my skill for what I do now.
Fascinating. And now walk us through maybe the top frustrations. What's connected now to financial advisors and those you help out, right? Walk us through maybe the top 1 or 2, 3 things that most financial advisors have blind spots to, and then talk about how you help them to uncover those.
So I think the number one thing that I'm seeing that really ties most of the frustrations together is a lack of boundaries. They may be making a lot of money. They may be successful in what our culture says is successful, but they're constantly over-promising and under-delivering. And, there's always threads. I'm a overall coach. I look at the personal and the professional because they're intimately connected. So if you don't have boundaries in one area, it's going to come over to the other area. If you're over delivering to clients and you're not delegating, it will show up in every area of your life, which causes a lot of frustration. And it might sound, oh, wow, that, boundaries are a big deal. Well, it's a huge, huge deal to the quality of life. Like money isn't all of it. And sometimes people are not making enough money, and that can still be the issue. I've seen it both ways. Like one of my very first clients, she had to get rid of a lot of clients that they were a needy, so to speak, and she didn't make any money off of the work that she was doing. So as soon as she got rid of the clients that were not profitable, even though she loved them, she had to make some really clear decisions. Then she made room for the ideal clients to come in, which is what it's all about. And being specific around that too, who your ideal client is.
Excellent. So setting those boundaries, having clarity on your ideal client, and then finding out, hey, sometimes it may not work out, and you may need to, fire your clients, right? And then making sure you're not over promising and under delivering. And you mentioned delegating. So let's walk through maybe the best way you help financial advisors delegate and avoid the over promise and under delivering.
Usually it starts at home. Not always, but usually, like I said, like it's how you do anything is how you do everything. So we will start there if I think that's it. And if it's not, then we start at work, and you have to make a list of what every single thing you do in a day and what things can you delegate, including the home things. I coach a lot of female financial advisors, but lately I've had a couple men come on, and it's a lot of times the same thing, but whether it's getting somebody to clean your house, it's huge as far as being able to be present with your family and have a quality of life besides being very good at what you do. I have another one that has another client that hired somebody to do the cooking for during the week. Because when you start looking at how many hats you put on in a day, whether you're a wife, you have your job, and mostly in these type of jobs, you have two, because you're working in your business and you're working on your business. So, you're a mom, a daughter, all these different, like I have them do 5 circles. Well, that fills up really quickly.
Absolutely, yeah. And as a dad to 5 kids myself, my wife and I, we in 2 years old to 9 years old, we stay, very, very busy, right? And time and energy is the ultimate resource that's constantly being pulled at. So excellent. Okay, so you could be something as practical as just helping to take some of that stress or some of that burden, whether it be cooking, whether it be cleaning, whatever it is that you can delegate so that you have more time and energy to be present with your family. It starts at home, and then it can transfer over to the business. Is that a fair summary?
Yes. And it can go both ways too. It can start at work and then go over to home. Because if you're over delivering one place, you're more than likely over delivering other places. And it has a huge cost. When I say it, I hear it. It sounds kind of like, I don't want to say superficial, but the cost of that, and that's another thing that we look at. What's the cost of it? What's the cost of it? And I feel like, one of the things I need to mention, especially with my female clients, I hate to say that, it's not always true, but a lot of times, because it's such a male dominated business, there's a lot of the energy of proving, and that can really fuel the over promising, because they feel this need to prove they're enough and prove. And once they get out of that, like one of the things I always say is you get results from what you say or do, not from what you say or do, but who you're being. And once that really is embodied, the results are amazing. How they show up in meetings, how they show up for clients. It's just a natural confidence.
Excellent. Yeah. So it's growing yourself, getting your inner self right, setting the boundaries, not having to be stressed out by over delivering, right, and then having everything else, maybe unhealthy or out of whack. That being said, could you define over delivering for us?
Doing things, it can be anything. Doing things that other people could or should be doing within the company, utilizing the structures that are in place to have the support, like the admins. And I understand that, sometimes those things need to be shifted around too, but it's finding ways that you can control it, and realizing what you can't control and making it work in whatever way that you can. So I talk a lot about owning your power in my, in all of my things. And it's not about power over someone else. It's your inner power, and really learning to speak up for what you need, and really claiming, naming and claiming what it is that you need to support you, and to support you in the position that you're doing. Which, when you're talking about over delivering too, it's in so many different areas. This conversation could be hours long on all the ways that it shows up. But part of when any of these positions, you have to have sales conversations, you have to have conversations with clients where you are present and you are able to connect and give the confidence that's needed to really close the clients that you want. And so we do work a lot on that. Sales to me is an inside job. Anybody can hand out a script. Anybody can hand out a script to someone. This is what you do. But if you're not doing it, if you're not paying attention to how many calls you're making, if you avoid it, if you're not connecting with ideal clients, a lot of times it's these inner stories that we've been telling ourselves. It can be from, like you were talking about, when you're younger. A lot of times I see people being held back from that, and they over deliver in other areas to make up for it.
So fascinating, so rich, Tandy. You're right. We could spend hours going through that,
Mhm.
and but we only have so much time. That being said, are you ready for the lightning round? And then we'll tell everybody where they can find you.
Sure.
All right. So, knowing what you know now, Tandy, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one gold nugget you would tell yourself to do or something to know?
Wow. I would tell her that everything is going to be fine and that to fully embrace the gifts and not to deny them, not to deny the natural gifting, the abilities to connect and intuit.
Love it. What's the one book you recommend or have gifted the most in the past year?
The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles.
Why?
It's been transformational for me, changing the thinking. I don't read that cover to cover. I study it. And I recommend my clients do too. Some people really like Think and Grow Rich too. But I think both of them, to keep a mindset that you need to keep in business, it's important to make that a part of your day. Even if it's just a couple pages and you highlight and I think that it's a way of embodying it, not just reading it.
Love that. I'm going to get that book tomorrow, Tandy. You just inspired me. Uh,
Okay.
Give me a mobile or digital resource you recommend for your business.
TandyPryorCoaching.com. There's a financial advisors button on there where you can actually have a conversation with me, a complimentary conversation. So that's probably the easiest way.
That's beautiful. Favorite leadership quote or theme that you try to live by?
Favorite leadership quote or thing to live by? I'm not sure who said it, but I still love it's not what you say or do, it's who you're being. It's that inner game.
Love it. What are you curious about right now?
What am I curious about? In this climate, I am curious about how much longer COVID is going to affect everybody and our lives and businesses. It's actually I'm busier than I've ever been, which is a blessing. But I really feel for people that have little kids that are trying to figure out schools, and I'm glad my kids are all grown. But I have one in college, so that's still one that I kind of wonder about. I had that conversation today, so really about curiosity right now. I'm curious about that.
It's a great answer, and I agree with you 100%. Okay, so knowing what you know now, we're wrapping it up here. This is kind of the last question, and then we'll remind others where they can find you at. But after helping lots of people, right, really stay centered on who they're supposed to be, and focus on setting boundaries and coaching those folks, right? We ask the same question every time, so I'm excited for your answer. How do you personally, Tandy, stay centered, right, in your values, right, and then how do you stay encouraged to reach for new goals or new heights?
I love this question. During COVID and being locked in, I got really reacquainted with the woods and hiking in the woods. And I do that. I did it this morning for an hour. No matter what goes on in the world, that remains the same. And I need that kind of grounding. And the other one is equally important is I always have support. If you're growing, the way I like to say, if you're growing like this, having somebody up underneath you as you grow is imperative. I wouldn't be where I am without all of the amazing coaches. I always have a coach, and I've had some fantastic coaches through the years.
Amazing. So hiking, nature, connecting with something that's consistent and beautiful, and then second, always having support, coach, someone who's helping you as you grow. For our listeners, Tandy, who want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Through my website, tandypryorcoaching.com, and that's Pryor.
Beautiful.
Yes,
Any last thoughts for our listeners before we let you go?
Try to stay positive. That's the best thing. None of us have seen what we're going through right now, and I know that we'll be out the other side of it. I'm not quite sure what it's going to look like, but there's always the gifts within everything that happens. So I think the biggest thing is always look for the gift.
Beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your story, and some practical ways for us to do just that. So I want to encourage you to keep using the gifts you've been given to bless others. And thank you for being on the show. And also want to thank our listeners for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast. As always, we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax referral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax referral strategy is the best way for you to grow your wealth. But more than that, making sure that you are right on the inside, right? And you're setting correct boundaries, and you're growing yourself, and you're growing as a leader, and you have that support so that your company or your business can grow, and so that you can actually have a very successful exit when you do, and hopefully it's a big financial windfall because of that. So with that, go make some great decisions. Please share this, review it. We love the support, and with that, we wish you well.
You have just listened to another information-packed episode of Capital Gains Tax Solutions with Brett Swarts. We hope you enjoyed today's show and found it helpful. Visit capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to access the show notes and to access more resources. Don't forget to leave a review and join us again next time.